Hello again, everyone. Hope you're all having a Merry Christmas and a Happy Holidays however you choose to spend it. In this video, we're going to be really focusing on the 6 mana circle, or as it's now called, the mana spiral. Now, I wanted to really look at the stats because they do give the stats for the characters, and it's kind of hard because I can't do it in-game because I have facilities and shrines and buildings that all boost them. So I'm trying to use the wiki. The Ezolith page was busted, so I'm going to use the Naveed one for that. But in general, like, we're just going to go through these and talk about them. I'm not really going to go over the 3 stars. I'm going to talk about the 3 stars as a whole because they all kind of got a similar change. But the 4 stars and the 5 stars we'll go through. Now, all these are mostly fire. Makes sense. New content's coming out that is wind-based, so having stronger fire units helps a lot with that. I am very surprised to see Cassandra is on this list as a changed character. Now, it makes a lot of sense again because the only other ones, realistically, is Galacleo Limited. And Veronica, we have no idea if she's ever coming back. So, like, if you did get those two, Cassandra's your only choice. So they kind of do need to make Cassandra really good. So, very interested to see that she's on here. Botan is on here, that's incredible to me. Now, also, they're rerunning that event. So if you didn't get her, you have a chance to get her, and she's getting stronger at the same time. And besides that, we have Ezolith, Naveed, Yuden, and Karl as, like, the 4 fire characters and 5-star and 4-star. And then Ali, Renelle, Elaine, Joe, Xania, and Orion. Those are the 3 stars. So first we're going to talk about, like I said earlier, a general idea of how the stats look across the new characters. Now something that's interesting with going from level 80 to level 100 is very Grand Blue-like, because in Grand Blue, max level is 80. What they do is they add in a final uncap, which they call FLB, or full limit break, which actually lets you go to 100. And that takes a lot of, like, just leveling to get to 100. So it might take a lot because the stat increase seems pretty big. So we're going to go off Naveed here. So Naveed, in terms of HP, has gone up about 500, a little less than 500. In terms of strength, he's gone over 300, it's like 303 if the wiki's correct, with a total might of around 1,000 increase, a little under 1,000. So, like, that's pretty big. That's like a weapon. 1,000 might is like going from a normal, like, core weapon to a high dragon weapon. That's like 1,000 might, to give you an idea. Like, that's a pretty big increase to all these characters. Now what they did is their normal abilities, from what I can tell, at least for the 5 stars, seem the same. I looked at Naveed and Ez in particular, and theirs seem to be the same in terms of numbers and damage, unless I've missed something. I saw on 3 stars and Yuden and the 4 stars, they changed the first 2 skills as well. They just added stuff, but mostly it's going to be on the abilities between these ones. So Ez still has Howling Meteor. You know, it's Ez. It's kind of her thing. But what they did to make Ez a little more, like, interesting in terms of that aspect, because her thing is, like, her first skill gives her a chance to increase debuffs. Now, Ez has the ability to put defense down on people. That's like the whole thing when she has Brilliant Inferno on. So her first skill was made to make Brilliant Inferno better. Now, problem is, that's all it did. That's not as good as, like, some other first skills. What they did is, a lot of these, they took the first ability and added another thing on top of it. So now, it's called Flash of Genius, like the Wormprint that she's on. And this still increased chance to increase debuffs by 20% when the combo counts 15 or higher. But it also increases her crit rate by 20% for 7 seconds every time 2 hits of Howling Meteor connect. Now, Howling Meteor has way more than 2 hits. I would argue that thing has probably at least 8 hits. Don't know on the top of my head. You know what? I'm going to go test this. I'll be right back. Alright, so I fired up Mercurial Gauntlet just to test it out to make sure, you know, we got all our facts straight. So Howling Meteor hits 11 times. Now, the thing why I brought up why the number is important is there's no cooldown on how many times this can proc. So think of it this way. When she presses Howling Meteor, her crit rate is going to rise 20% for 7 seconds every time she hits 2 times. Howling Meteor has 11 hits. That means she's going to get, if this stacks, 100% crit rate for pressing Howling Meteor once. So that seems really good, because that means Ez can run Arctos, who increases crit damage. And as a dagger unit, who's meant to crit anyway, like, that could be really, really strong on her, honestly. So I'm really excited to see if that is 100%. If it is, I might just mob Arctos and put it on her, because I use it on her and Makoto, and I need a mob Fire Dragon anyway, so might actually just go and do that, because that buff looks really, really good. The next thing they're doing, this is constant through all of them, so I'm not gonna go over this on all of them because I already checked, is they're taking their res and they're making it more than just, hey, you just resist sleep. Now it's the mim effect. So you resist sleep, 100% resistance to sleep, When they use a hit by an attack that would have put them to sleep, their strength increases by 15% for 10 seconds. After activating the buff, will not activate again for 15 seconds. So that's constant through all of them. Where they're like, so things that don't actually do damage or have some use to them, they're making it so it has a use. So for Ez, and all of them mostly, they now, when you get hit by it, instead of just getting, you know, just resist, that's it, you now also just deal more damage. Now you can't just stack it ridiculously, but you can get good uptime on this and keep your damage up. So like you can mix and match, I was gonna say. You can min-max how much damage you're doing by potentially getting hit by something that's not going to kill you, and that will up your damage. So that could be a really good way to, that's a very interesting playstyle. So a character like Victor especially, who has Victor and Gala Ellie, who don't, or Juliet I think as well, who can't get knocked back or knocked down. This would be really good because you can take that hit, you're not going to fall over, but now you're just dealing more damage. So when those characters get this buff, it's going to be even bigger on them than like Ez, for instance. And last but not least for Ez, Broken Punisher is up by another 5%. So it used to be 30%, now it is 35%. So I don't know, man. This Flash of Genius one, when I really thought about the fact that there's no cooldown on when she can trigger that crit up, like, and the fact that Howling Meteor hits over 10 times means that there's a high chance she's gonna get 100% crit. Now it could go above that, but it doesn't matter, because like if it was Grand Blue going above 100 is interesting, because crit in Grand Blue rolls in crit chance and crit damage, so stacking crit is okay because you're also increasing the damage. Dragalia not so much, but her getting 100% crit for pressing Howling Meteor once, as long as she gets all the connects to hit, or the attacks, yeah, all the attacks to connect, like, that's pretty big. Let me look at this Brilliant Inferno thing real fast to make sure that is actually the same. Oh no, wait, that is a buff. Okay, so Brilliant Inferno was 15%, now it is 20%, so they did buff that. So they're probably going to buff the damage on Howling Meteor, probably just get a damage buff. So most likely all the skills are getting changed across all of them. The co-abilities are the same though. But yeah, so she gets 5% more strength on Brilliant Inferno. She still reduces defense. It doesn't say how much. That might get buffed too, because right now it's a 5% decrease, 15% base chance. That'll probably go up a decent bit as well. And I imagine the Howling Meteor is gonna go up. It might even get more hits, funny enough. They could give it more hits. Right now it's 10 hits, 57%, one hit at 250. Which this doesn't say. Movement is possible, flame damage enemy directly ahead. Maybe she'll do it faster. That could be good too. If she does the same amount of hits but does it faster, that'd be a good buff for her. They just get through Howling Meteor and start being able to bullet up quicker. But I think 100% crit rate for 7 seconds for pressing it, if that does stack, is really good. It might just be 20%. That's still pretty okay. So the changes in the Vita are pretty cool because they're changes in a way that makes sense for the way the game's going now, and hopefully we'll see more of this going forward. So one of the Vita's issues is he had Slayer strength, which isn't very good. If you don't have stuff to actually defeat, then you just don't get it. And he had skill prep, so he didn't have any passive skills to actually help his damage. So in terms of his passives, they changed that. So now that Slayer's Flurry strength is what he has now, and what that does is it's still Slayer strength, so 6% strength every time, you know, for every time he defeats a certain amount of enemies. 5 enemies it is, up to 5 times. But on top of that, he now gets 8% strength when the combat count is 15 or higher, so just more flat damage there. Same thing, potent sleep res. So every time he's hit by something that would put him to sleep, he does 15% more 15% more strength for 10 seconds. And now he has flame-based protection, because the last thing he had 100% skill prep, so we can start his engine faster. Now what that does is not only does he 100% skill prep, it also increases his defense by 20% while the Crystalline Blades buffed effect is in, which also increased that as well to 20%. So he gets just 40% increased defense for 10 seconds. Another really interesting thing, and the V is the first thing we see of this along with someone else later. So his Crystalline Blades, we don't know the numbers on these because this got changed as well. We don't know the numbers. Maybe he has more blades spawn. Right now he spawns 3. But what we do know is that now this will dispel a buff. So like, this is our first case of actual dispels. So my question is, does this work on high dragons? Because the high dragons constantly increase their defense slowly by like 5%. So if you could bring someone in who just dispels that, that's just going to speed up killing it, because like less defense makes up for this character just does more damage than me. So the fact that they're actually giving dispels to characters is very interesting. And that's really all I can say about Naveed. I didn't use Naveed, I used Yuden. And then later I used Marth, so I don't have too much to say about him. I hope the boss turn the right way that he needs. They seem pretty strong. I think having a Dispel is going to be really strong. Like, with the current design of fights, I think Dispel is going to be very, very high in demand. Most likely, unless they stop buffing enemies, but I don't know why you would give characters this and then just stop doing it. So I feel like Dispel is going to be really good. On to Cassandra. So I think her set that she got is interesting because it shows two different changes that are pretty cool. One, her first skill, they gave it poison. Now, they did this a lot. They also gave poison to Alex. They gave it to base Zodiark. And I think a couple of the weapons also have poison on them now. So what they're trying to do is they're trying to put more, like, these like debuffs and fixes and like damage over time things. I'm forgetting the exact word used for them, but they're putting a lot more of these on characters and weapons. For Cassandra's second skill, they gave it the enmity effect. So the lower her HP is, the more damage it's going to do, which makes sense when this is a counter skill. So she's meant to get hit and then do it. So she in essence can just take a hit, lower her HP, deal more damage on the base skill, and then deal the bonus damage on top of that. So this is another skill prep 100 character who just, you know, at the start has 100 skill prep, but then doesn't do much else with it. But now she has skill prep and skill charge, which is interesting. So skill charge fills her skill gauge by 5% when she uses a skill. Now I'm wondering how this is going to work, because a lot of the ways that current skill gauge works is after the skill stops, you actually can build up. So like wands can attack once, press a skill. When the skill ends, the attack connects to get the pip, like little points back towards their next skill. So I wonder if you press this on the skill, will it increase that skill or does it increase all the other skills? But either way, just like, it's a much better way of doing skill prep while also just constantly ramping up to do more skills faster by pressing your skills. Again, same thing on the second skill where instead it's paralyzed. When she's hit by something that would paralyze her, her damage, her strength is increased by 15%. And they increase resilient offense by 5%. So instead of 10%, it is 15% when her health drops below 30%, up to 3 times. So instead of getting 30% total, she'll get 30% in 2 times and go up to 45%. So it seems like 5% is not that much, but when you actually look at the whole thing, that could be quite a lot if she can actually get that off. All right, so the next one is one that I thought was going to happen eventually for sure, but I didn't think it'd be so soon, and that's they're giving the Mana Spiral to Yuden. Now, I'm extremely happy about this because I've always invested in Yuden. Obviously, I used the main Yuden. It was my main thing when Midgar was the end game content. I used Yuden. Gala Yuden came out, I've used him, fully invested him, used him on Zodiark and all that stuff. But to see the normal one get buffed already is really exciting. And there, I think these are really good changes for him. Like, I'm amazed I actually went this far. The first change is his first skill, Blazing Circlet. Now, also inflicts burn, and it has the Aldrich effect and the Mim effect that when it connects, it raises his dragon gauge, which Yuden is meant to be a person who rushes into dragon, gets in the dragon, gets bonuses, bonus damage for being in dragon, and then needs to get back into it. Before, he had no real way to do that. So even Blazing Circlet makes it, filling dragon gauge means it's much faster, much easier for him to get into dragon, pop it, get the bonus from Dragon Claws, and then keep going. Assaulted Fire seems the same. It's still damage enemies in a line, reduce defense by 5%. Maybe the defense chance is higher because it's like 90% right now. They're probably going to raise the damage values or something, but that one seems kind of the same. Honestly, the change of Blazing Circlet matters way more than Exalted Fire. Being the Dragon Claws, he gets Dragon Claws 4. Right now he gets Dragon Claws 2. So that's a big increase for him. They go straight to 4 from 2. Same thing, Potent Res. And now his third skill is Dragon's Dominance. So his third skill used to be you just get 50% more experience. Cool early on, not so great later, and it doesn't help him as a character because he doesn't do any damage for this. Now what this is you get 50% increased experience, and normal attacks when in dragon form dispel one enemy buff. That does not say there is a cooldown on this. So Yuden can get into dragon form, like quickly, and then just hit them and just take buffs away. Again, this could almost make him a replacement in like the Midgar fight for like the Smith sisters. So you think about it, he's gonna get in dragon quickly. Every time Midgar buffs himself, you can press dragon, hit him once, get rid of the 5% defense up, and then the whole team's just gonna do more damage. And he because it's every time he's in dragon, he can just any normal attack, he can just dispel multiple of them at once. But yeah, overall, I'm really happy with these changes. I'm very excited. Okay, I'm going to wait till I say I'm going to work on, but just know that Yuden is definitely one of them. And next is Carl, who isn't Yuden, so I really don't Don't care that much, but his first skill is kind of the same. Second skill is 5% more strength to the team, so he's a good buffer in that way. He gets Slayer Flurry strength, so Slayer strength plus Flurry on top, 8%. On the common counts, 15 or higher, so same as Naveed. Potent Res again. And then he gets 7% more on his strength when his HP is above 70%. But again, it's not Uden, so yeah, I don't really care that much. So yeah, Botan's one unit I was really surprised is actually on this list. So she's a free unit, which is going to be good for people who, you know, just need a unit to invest in. Now, her changes don't seem as crazy. They're very good and smart changes for her, but they're not like, I don't know, they're not as big to me at least. So the first one's Petal Piercer is the same. Probably going to do more damage, but nothing special is added to it. Her second one is she still buffs the entire team strength by 15%. I want to make sure it was still 15 seconds before. Yes, so the strength amount and the time it lasts is the same. However, she also increases crit rate of Shadow Tune Adventures by 10%. So she gives the Dagger Co ability on her skill 2. That's a good buff. There's a typo, or yeah, a typo on the website. Her first skill is Thaumian's Bane plus 35%. Now on the website, it first said crit rate is raised by 35% when the common count is 15 or higher. That's kind of ridiculous. So what this actually is she just gets 35% more damage to the Thaumians. They corrected it later on the website because I don't know why it says crit rate, because that was gonna be like really different but really good at the same time. Another really good thing for her is they made it so her paralysis resistance is now 100%, so she doesn't get 50% anymore. That's kind of consistent even with the 3 stars. They're all 100% resist. The 3 stars still have double resist, but they get 100% resist, all the same. And she has a increased damage 50% when she's hit by something that would paralyze her. This is another good one for her. So she only had 50% skill prep. Now she has 100% skill prep and skill charge. So that's good because she can do her skill 1. I think more so this is good for her than maybe Cassandra. Cassandra is just good, just damage, but for Botan it increases her support capabilities. So she can rush out her skill 1 over and over and over again to get her skill 2 up faster. So she'll get more skill 2 uptime throughout a fight, which means more damage for her team. Okay, so from here on out, all 3 stars are basically the same. They all got burn on any damaging skill, so they had 2 damaging skills, both burn. If for the case of the healer, he only has 1 damage skills, that burns. And then their first ability got a like number-wise increase, and then they got full res with potent on the second ability. So now they all are full res, potent, so they would get hit by something that would have done whatever to them, sleep or stun. They get 50% strength, same power as the other ones, and they all get level 100 when you get to this mana circle. The thing was big with the 3 stars especially is this is a showing that all the base 3 stars, they're gonna go through and give them full reses to make them more useful than what they are and improve their skills a bit. Now for me, I'm excited about Francesca. I don't know what they'll change because all these, they gave them all burn, so now you have more sources of burn in fire. I don't know what they'll give Francesca. What wind could use poison, so maybe they'll give wind poison. Yeah, it's just nice that they're putting up more of these afflictions on more characters so they're more useful, because like really the only really affliction character we have that's a serious thing besides the bleeders, because bleed is just that good, is like Delphi. And Delphi is just the poison bot, and now there's gonna be more poison, so characters that benefit from poison like Lothna or dragons like Pazuzu is going to be more beneficial for them when more people actually carry the thing that makes them good. And that's it for basically the changes for the 6 mana circle for this time. I like this system because it's very similar to the Grand Blue like FLB system like I said before. So instead of capping at 80, you go to 100. You raise stats, you can change like damage values to make them higher, but they also can rebalance kits to make them more concise on how the game currently plays and actually make them stronger overall as a whole. Like I think Ez is the big one for me, besides Uden, obviously, because this crit rate actually is 100% when you press her skill 1 once. Like that's incredibly strong, and they'll actually make Ez a really strong character. Navi kind of ends up as a tank. Cassandra deals more damage. Uden actually gets to be a dragon character rather than the first attempt at it that didn't really have any synergy to get into dragon. And Carl is Carl. And Bolton also gets the buffs. But yeah, the 3 I'm going to be definitely making is Ez, Uden, and Botan of this set. I'm really excited to see what they do with other characters, because there's other characters that definitely need this kind of love. And my imagination is that we won't see any Gala characters get this done to them for a while. Like the most recent is Cassandra. The rest of these characters have been out for a pretty long time. But Cassandra is getting buffed because Shadow desperately needs a wand that is not Cleo and that is not Veronica. So it needs a non-limited wand that can keep up with them. Because right now, if you don't have Cleo and Shadow, you're just behind. You can maybe get away with Veronica, but that was a limited care that's no longer available. So they're putting in something to address that. Also, I'm very curious of what these stats are going to be like when they hit 100 and how much leveling is going to take to get to 100 because we have tons of crystals. We might be running out of those. Might be running out of those pretty soon because level 100 to Grand Blue, let's take it this way. Level 1 to 80 to Grand Blue is the same experience as 80 to 90. And then after that, it's just like, it's a lot of farming. So curious to see what they're going to do in Dragalia on that. In that sense, it might make like the experience Fafnirs for characters better. Avenue to power could actually be useful again, although I do it every day, so I have way too many crystals, so I imagine I'll be able to max these. But yeah, I'm just very excited to see how this is going to play out. This is a really cool patch in general. I hope to, see you guys in the game when it comes out. I'll catch you then.
This is what you need.